Welcome to all of you for Saturday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion. So, we are discussing on the third part of the third chapter, where Lord Krishna is instructing Arjuna how to perform Buddhi Yoga in the acts of karma. How one can connect to him, that is Lord Krishna, by performing their prescribed duties in devotion. So we are continuing that, the 33rd verse of Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter. Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakrite jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. The 33rd verse of Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. For everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? Sadrisham cheshtate swasya. So one executes according to the nature he has developed. Every one of us has particular kind of nature. We are born with certain ignorance, certain passion, certain goodness. All these passion, ignorance and goodness mixed together, it makes us to behave in a particular way. It makes us to get attracted to certain things in a particular way. It inspires us to perform certain activity in this world. That's all our nature, swabhava. So Krishna again he is telling Arjuna, one is supposed to act according to his nature. Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya. Everyone follows according to their nature they have acquired from three modes, that is goodness, passion and ignorance. He says, what can a repression accomplish? So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, oh Arjuna, how can you artificially try to pressurize yourself to run away from the battlefield? You are a Kshatriya, your nature is to fight. So very, very important instruction Lord Krishna is giving to all of us here. Do we need to follow our nature and nurture our nature? Or do we need to artificially try to imitate someone? So the Chanakya Pandit, he tells in his Niti Shastra that one should not become a king if he is not able to deliver the citizens from the cycle of birth and death from this world. One should not become a father if he is not able to deliver his family members. Becoming a father is not a celebration, it is a responsibility. Very, very important for us to understand. We all acquire certain nature. That nature, karmanam daivanetrena. Lord Krishna in the Vedic scriptures explains that according to our karma and as well as the environment in which we are getting birth, we acquire certain genes with us with which we are born. That's why it is very, very important in our culture we do garbhadhana samskara. Means a wife becoming a mother, she is supposed to go through certain ritualistic ceremonies for purification so that the host has a conducive environment for a child growing within the womb so that it can become a cultural citizen, cultural child. So we are influenced by our instincts which we carry while we take birth. And we also get influenced after we are born. We go through our own experiences, the surroundings, relationships among the family members, the culture in which we live, all those influence our nature as well to a certain extent. But what we greatly carry is the nature which is influenced by our karma in the past, through which we get attracted to certain things, and according to our nature we attract a certain womb. Should we follow our instincts or regulate it? It is very, very important to regulate it. How should we regulate our nature? Now, regulation doesn't mean that Kshatriyas needs to give up their fighting, Brahmanas needs to stop giving education, Vaishyas supposed to stop their business, Shudras supposed to stop serving. No, that is not giving up the instincts. Those are all the duties which we are supposed to carry. But there are certain instincts which are born along with being a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra or a Brahmana. Certain impurities which we carry in our life, that those are the things we are supposed to give it up. Kshatriya can be a most respected Kshatriya, most honest Kshatriya, highly integrated Kshatriya. Vaishya can be an honest Vaishya, a principled Vaishya. A Brahmana can be a most respected, obedient, highly honest Brahmana. And a Shudra as well can have these qualities. Yeah. So it's very, very important to regulate it, because we carry certain impurities while we take birth as a human being. I'll give you an example. There is a devotee called Haridas Prabhu. He lives in Mumbai. He was a Bangalorean, and he moved to Mumbai looking for a job in 1970s. Yeah. He was around 11 or 12-year-old boy, and he was struggling to meet his both ends when he was 11 or 12, and he started, stealing, pickpocketing in the bus, and he used to travel in train without carrying tickets. He used to, pick up the jewelries from someone who is wearing it on the road. And he used to do so many things, and stealing became his, occupation. And normally, because he used to find difficult to get his food, he used to, police used to catch him. He used to go to the Arthur jail, and he used to stay there. After 3 months, again he used to get released. Again he used to steal something. Again he used to go to jail. That was the thing that was happening with him for a long time, for a few years. One day in the Arthur jail, while he was there, his job was to clean the jail. And one day, while cleaning the dustbin, he found one magazine called Back to Godhead. In the Back to Godhead, he found Prabhupada with a smiling face, and he was giving a lecture, and he looked a saintly person. So Haridas Prabhu, immediately his eyes got caught into the real gold wristwatch the Prabhupada was wearing. Immediately Haridas Prabhu became attracted to that wristwatch, and he already decided, once I come out of the Arthur jail, my next destination is the address given in the Back to Godhead. I will go there, I will go and somehow or the other steal the gold watch that the Prabhupada is wearing. So yeah, it's Haridas Prabhu and Haridas Thakur Prabhu are different. This Haridas Prabhu is a devotee, still he is there, he is alive. I have met him few times in Mumbai. He lives in Mumbai. Yeah. So this Haridas Prabhu, immediately after coming out of the jail, his immediate destination was to go to that center. He went to that center and he found that Prabhupada was not there. And the devotees who were living in Mumbai told Prabhupada is going to come shortly in another 4-5 days. Why don't you stay with us till Prabhupada comes? So he started, okay, fine, no problems. So he started staying along with devotees in the temple in Mumbai, in the ISKCON temple. And 2, 3 days, 4 days, he used to have nice meals from morning to evening, and devotees were chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and serving Krishna and reading Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. He started hearing along with them. And somehow there was a change in, itinerary of Srila Prabhupada. He was supposed to come to Mumbai, and actually he traveled to Hyderabad on the way to Mumbai. And this Haridas Prabhu found that Prabhupada has gone to Hyderabad. He immediately started fighting with all the devotees that I need to leave to Hyderabad now. I cannot live in Mumbai. And the devotees started saying, he's going to come to Mumbai, just wait for another few days. But Haridas Prabhu was so determined about the wristwatch. He said, no, I'm supposed to go to Hyderabad. If you allow me to go, otherwise I'm going to steal money from the temple and I'm going to leave. So he fought with the devotees in Mumbai and he went to Hyderabad. And in Hyderabad he met Prabhupada. In the Pandal program, Prabhupada saw this Indian man with a shaved head and wearing dhoti and kurta. Prabhupada called through his disciples, who is he? He is an Indian. What is he doing here? So then, it was 2-3 days after he went to Hyderabad, he met Prabhupada. Then he went and met Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, how did you come in touch with the devotees? Then Haridas Prabhu said his whole story, how he is a thief, he's been stealing, and he gets caught and the police puts him in the jail. He lives in jail for some time, again comes out, again steals, again goes to jail, and this has been his lifestyle for some time. And Prabhupada said, why did you come here? Then Haridas Prabhu said, actually I am attracted to your gold watch. Then immediately Prabhupada smilingly took out his gold watch and said, here it is, please take it. Suddenly Haridas Prabhu said, no Prabhupada, I am really feeling bad that I had these tendencies, but now my attraction for watch has gone away. I don't want it. Then Prabhupada said, why don't you become a nice devotee? Krishna also used to steal butter. So become a nice devotee and, chant daily and cultivate devotional service, read Bhagavad Gita. So from that day, following the instruction of Prabhupada, Haridas Prabhu started chanting the holy names of Krishna, and today he is the most respected personality in our institution. This is a real story of Haridas Prabhu. How he had impurities within his heart, instincts. But given the opportunity for progressing in Krishna consciousness, he got transformed. So, though we might have instincts, Krishna, by the mercy of Krishna, by chanting the names of Krishna, all those bad instincts can get erased from our life. Very, very important for us to understand. Nature, as a Kshatriya, can have some bad instincts as well. Vaishya can have bad instincts as well. Brahmana can have bad instincts as well. It is very, very important that we give up those bad instincts. That is possible by practicing devotional service. There is a story of a Vilidasan and Ponachi in Ramanujacharya's pastime. This Vilidasan was a fighter. He was a, wrestler. He had a heavy built body, and in his village there was a beautiful girl called Ponachi. So he got attracted to this girl and he started following her. And he became so madly in love with this girl, he couldn't take his eyes out of that girl at all. One day he went and pursued that girl, that I want to marry you. So both got married, And even after marriage, his love for her only increased and increased and increased. One day, when Ramanujacharya, along with his devotees, were going for a walk, this Vilidasan was carrying an umbrella for his wife Panachi, and this girl was walking and even holding the umbrella. Vilidasan didn't wanted to take his eyes out of his wife. So he was holding the umbrella like this, wife was walking like this, the husband was walking backside, so that he can hold the umbrella so that the sun doesn't burn her face, and also he can keep looking at her beauty. In those days, there was no public display of this kind of love. Nowadays, it has become a glamour to do the public display of love. Those days, there was absolutely not. And when when Ramanujacharya's disciples saw students started laughing. Then Ramanujacharya said, "Why are you laughing?" The students said, "See, Gurudev, see this boy, so foolishly, he is walking backwards, holding the umbrella and gazing this girl." Then immediately Ramanujacharya asked his students to bring that boy. And he took that boy straight to the Ranganatha temple. And before taking him to the Ranganatha temple, he started asking, "Why are you behaving like this?" And this boy told, "My dear sir, I haven't seen anything in this world beautiful than my wife. I cannot keep my eyes out of her sight." Is it? Ramanujacharya said, "How about if I show something beautiful than this sight? Come with me." So, Ramanujacharya took this boy Vilidasan to the temple of Ranganatha, and the darshan was happening, Aarti was happening, and Ramanujacharya, with his compassionate blessing, pulled him and asked him to take the darshan of Ranganatha. By the power of Ramanuja Bhakti, this Vilidasan, immediately seeing the sight of Ranganatha, he was transformed and he started crying. How is that these many days I was just spending my time on an illusionary things without understanding a real beauty in this world, which is Ranganatha. And he fell at the feet of Ramanujacharya. So the nature, the instincts can be transformed. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dena rasavarjam rasopyasya param drushtva nivartate. When Lord Krishna comes to our tongue and we start chanting the names of Krishna, immediately all our bad deeds will get washed away. That's how the hunter became Valmiki. That's how the Navakoti Narayana became Purandaradasa. One who had greed for money gave up. Very, very important for us to understand. 34th verse. Indriyasyendriyasyarte ragadvesho vyavastito tayorna vasam agachet tauhi asya paripantino. Translation: there are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. Krishna is telling here how we need to regulate our life in the principles of Karma Yoga. Whenever we are indulged in a particular activity, there are two things, two extremities that happens. Either we become extremely attached to certain things, certain activities which we are attracted to, or we become completely hatred towards a particular activities. So Krishna is telling we need to implement principle to regulate. Attachment is bad, but regulated attachment is good. Aversion is bad, regulated aversion is good. I have seen so many doing this mistake again and again and again in their marriage life. When they get married, they unnecessarily become too much attached to their wife beyond practicality, or wife becoming too much attached to husband beyond practicality. I have seen my own friends and also those who took up Krishna consciousness, in Australia and also here. Because of too much of attachment, they start pampering their wife, ensuring that the wife doesn't go inside the kitchen and wash utensils. Wife doesn't go inside the kitchen cook. They feed their wife from morning to evening, taking to different restaurants, ensuring that the wife is just cushioned, flying in the air. And this life goes on, this kind of illusionary life goes on for some time. After one day, they become, they wake up and come to a practicality. By that time, they would have already pampered their wife to an extent that now telling her ABCD of married life, wife says, "Who are you to tell me?" Very, very important to understand. It is very important to regulate our attachment. Attachment is good, madness is bad. Aversion is also, we need to be averse to certain things which are not conducive. Anukulasya sankalpam, pratikulasya varjanaha. Whatever that is not good for our bhakti, whatever that is good for our growth in Krishna consciousness, we should actually leave that. But doesn't mean that we start hating people who are actually in that path of purification, seeing their activities which they are addicted to and we are averse to. We cannot reject those people blind straight away and start blasting them. This kind of fanatic aversion is extremely bad. It becomes like a Taliban. Yeah? So it's very, very important in our family life also. You cannot too much become attached to your wife, giving her 24 karat golds week on week, and then tell her that you need to wash the utensils and do work in the kitchen every day from morning to evening every day. No, you cannot do this paradigm shift. You need to balance your life in such a way that she is cultivated in the right environment from the day one. Otherwise, our marriage life will be doomed. So attachment is bad, aversion is also bad. That's why Krishna says regulated attachment and aversion is actually required. Else those attachment and aversion becomes stumbling blocks in our path of Krishna consciousness. 35th verse. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharma swa anushtitat swadharme nidanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties even though faultily than another's duties perfectly. Distraction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging another's duties. For to follow another's path is dangerous. Paradharmo bhayavaha. Krishna is telling Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya. Doesn't matter how you fight in the battlefield, you have to fight. Don't now say that I am going to go to the forest and, as a mendicant and start doing meditation. This is not a time to run away to the forest. Your duty as a Kshatriya is supposed to fight. Shreyan Swadharmaha. We have certain nature by which we are born. Sometimes parents start pressurizing children. You have to become a doctor. Someone is interested in becoming a teacher. No, you have to become an engineer. So it's very, very important that a child has a liking towards certain kind of activities. It is very, very important that child does that. Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha Paradharmat Swa Anushchitat. Instead of following someone else's dharma, it is better to follow our own dharma. For example, if a Vaishya is doing a business, in business you have to tell some lies. That I am not at all getting any profit. I am sitting from morning to evening. I am only making 1 rupee in this. That's all bogus. But the Vaishya does this just to continue in his, occupation. But if he sees a Brahmana, Brahmanas are given charity 5,000 rupees with respect for chanting few mantras. If a Vaishya starts thinking, see, he is making so much of money, better I leave my occupation. I'm sweating day in and day out, listening to all these foolish customers who are coming to my shop. They don't even buy. 1 hour I need to pursue. This Brahmana goes for half an hour for a Shraddha ceremony and sits and does chanting mantra, and he is getting 5,000 rupees. Better I leave my occupation as a merchant and go as a Brahmana. This is an unnatural acceptance of a duty which is not natural for a Vaishya. As soon as a Vaishya becomes a Brahmana, it is a destruction of our social culture. If a Brahmana starts behaving money, then who is going to respect? Today that's what has happened. A Brahmana who is born in the family of a Brahmana is a Brahmana. A person who is born, he might be having a certain inclination to do other activities. No, you are a Brahmana. Because of that, there is a confusion in our society. It's very, very important that we need to follow our nature. That doesn't mean one is low or one is high. There was Sudama who was a Brahmana. He was close to Krishna. Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was close to Krishna. He got blessings of Krishna. Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya. He was a perfect businessman. Krishna accepted him as his father. Vidura was a Shudra. But Krishna went to Vidura's house to accept the lunch, rejecting Duryodhana's house, where Vidura was giving banana in skin, throwing the banana out. And Krishna was crying and accepting that from the hands of Shudra. Please understand, doesn't matter which is your nature, occupation, duty, that doesn't mean we are far from Krishna. In the eyes of God, everyone are equal. Only that our inclinations, because of our inclination, we perform different occupation, and we should stick to that inclination and we should perform those activities. So that's how the culture, the society is built and sustained over a period of time. If one starts imitating someone else's duty, I think, even though he might think that he is doing it perfectly, it may not work out. Little sinful activity a Brahmana does as a Vaishya, he is going to get severe punishment. A little, sin a Vaishya does imitating a Brahmana, he will get severe punishment. So it's very, very important we follow our inclination or nature. That is what the instruction of Krishna. Now, after telling this, you should follow your inclination and perform your occupation and duty as a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or a Brahmana. Arjuna understood what Krishna is telling, because Arjuna's question in the beginning of third chapter was, "Oh Krishna, if you are telling Buddhi Yoga is higher than what? Buddhi Yoga is higher than fruitive activities, fighting in the battlefield. If you think that devotional service is higher than performing your karmic activities, Swadharma, why should I do my Swadharma as a Kshatriya? Let me follow Parodharma." Then Krishna told Arjuna that Swadharma is very, very important. Parodharma has to be practiced through step by step following Swadharma in our life and adopting Parodharma with the Swadharma. Otherwise, if a person says, "I am a Parodharmi," doesn't take the responsibility in the society, he is a cheater as per Krishna. Now, after understanding Karma Yoga concepts, Krishna elaborated. Arjuna is asking question in the 36th verse. "Atakkena prayuktoyam papam charati purushah anichan api varshneya baladiva niyojitah." Arjuna said, "O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?" Atakkena prayuktoyam. What is that forcing upon me? I say something is forcing on me. I know this is not good for me to do it. But I am impelled to do certain activities. I know drinking is bad, but when I am traveling in my vehicle, as soon as the wine shop I see, somehow or the other, my hand turns and I immediately go to the wine shop and sit. I know certain things are bad. But what is that impulse upon me? And anichan api vashneya. Even though ichha nahi hai mere paas, I am not inclined to it, but still there is a force which impels me to perform that sinful. Baladiva niyojitaha. I see niyojitaha means formulated. Certain thing planned. Baladiva, by force. So what is that impels me to perform sinful activities? Now Krishna answers Arjuna's question. So this is, we, in the ladder of, progressing in Krishna consciousness, see, there are so many stumbling blocks. Envy, ignorance, anger, false prestige, pride, attachment, greed. It's not easy when we take up spiritual culture. Spiritual culture is for purification. Arjuna is accepting that. Baladivani yojitaha. I don't want to do it, but it is forced upon me. What is that? So, Shri Bhagavan Vacha. कामयेश क्रोधयेश रजो गुणा समुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विधि एव इह वैरिणम्. Vidhi enam iha vairinam. Krishna is now telling vairi means what? Enemy. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is all devouring, sinful enemy of this world. Sometimes we don't know who is friend or who is enemy. Sometimes you have friendships and relationships with so many, and after some time you start finding that what happened? I thought they are friends of mine. This happens in each and every relationships. As a friend, you would have given so much of laddus, but they turned out to be your enemy. Jasusi karne aaye the, yeah? So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna. So Arjuna asked, why, who is that who is forcing me to perform sinful activity? Krishna says, Kama yesha, Krodha yesha, Rajo guna samudbhavaha. Kamaha, lust only, Arjuna, which gets transformed to Krodha, the anger, which is born because of Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. It is born from this material modes of passion. Mahashano Mahapapma. These are the biggest enemies. Krishna is elaborating Mahashano Mahapapma. It is not just sin. It is the biggest sin. It induces you to perform biggest sin. This is the biggest enemy. You need to control it. So, sometimes, in this world, lust is something which is worshipped. Wow, so lusty person, so beautiful, huh? Sometimes someone is sober, is pushed to the corner. A person who is lusty, comes with half-naked clothes, attracted. He gets glanced again and again and again everywhere, wherever you go. If you are working in some institution, if you are working in a corporate world, if you are speaking in a lusty way, you are going to get more number of followers. Today's world is all about number of followers in Instagram, Twitter. Who are the Twitter people who are getting most number of followers? If you average look into 45 million, 55 million, those are all people who are the embodiment of lust, and BhagavadGita rejects it, and we all worship them. Lust is heroic, most desirable. This is a modern day definition. So beautiful, so lusty, so beautiful, so heroic. So we need to understand what does it mean when we are actually, looking through the personalities. Who are the personalities who we get attracted to? Yesterday I was speaking as well. This human life is like a well. When you look at the well, there are sources of water which comes. You can dig well based upon the water concentration. Sometimes what happens, you dig a well, but the sources of water are all coming from gutter. As soon as you dig a well, you find out that it is stinking. You need to just close it immediately. This human life is also like a well. It is based on our tentacles of our sources, where our senses are connected to. If your senses are connected to all places of dirty entertainments, our human body, the well of our human body becomes a stinking place where it cannot give shelter to anyone. We need to decide whether we need a well which has a nice aroma or a well which is stinking. Current day, people doesn't know what is stinking, what is aromatic. They run after a truckload of truckload of things which only stinks, leaving 1 gram of kasturi. Very, very important. Well, we are carrying truckload of stinking things in our mind. God from all tentacles of our senses deposited in various places, and we bring it. Transportation. Paying heavy price, we transport and we invite into our head. And they all behave like as though they are our greatest friends, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Oh, they behave like our well-wishers. But if we are not able to discriminate, limit ourselves, we get burnt out. Because of Facebook, how many rapes are happening today? How many killings are happening today? Foolishly accepting friends. Yeah. So it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. There is an army slogan, do you have it in you? Join the army. So today's slogan of everyone is, do you have it in you? Lust, you join our party. Those who are weak-hearted, we are signaling, we are alarming you, don't come. And it is like crushing their ego. You are calling me weak-hearted? See, I am jumping now. This is the problem of today's mad people. You washed your feet? So there is, lust is bad. Lust is not bad. It depends upon how we regulate our lust. We cannot just say, I am going to enjoy. Prabhupada said, those people are rascals who want to enjoy opposite sex and they don't want to take up the responsibility of binding it with a marriage. Prabhupada called them rascals. There is a joke that husband and wife were sitting in the park and the wife says, oh honey, see how my children, your children and our children are playing so cooperatively. This is the problems of today's world. All these Bollywood heroines you worship day and night, they are all part of this Mr. Lust story. See, honey, how my children, your children, and our children are so nicely playing together. The husband and wife sitting in the park and, affectionately speaking. This is the modern day, what is happening. Why? Because people are running away from the education of Gita. Prabhupada, as I said, one who just wants to enjoy but doesn't want to take the responsibility, Prabhupada called him, he is a rascal. So lust, there's no problem with it. We need to regulate it. We need to regulate. Yeah? If we don't regulate it, it becomes a poison. So where are the lust residing? Strategic places. Yeah? Dhumena avriyate vanir yatha darsho malena cha yatho albena vruto garbhas tata tenedham avrutam. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. As I said, lust is most glorified in this world. Some have little, some have little bit more, some have little bit more. Some are really lusty. They don't mind just going on killing people mercilessly just to satisfy their lust. So Krishna gives an example of fire is covered by smoke. Wherever there is a lust, there is a dust. Yeah? Fire is covered by smoke. And then mirror is covered by dust. So we covered by the lust. This is a little bit higher degree of lust. Mirror is covered by dust. Still more higher degree of lust, Krishna gives an example of embryo, right? Covered by the womb. So what are these three places? Very, very important. For most period, I didn't know how this verse and the next verses connect together. Many people have asked, what is this? First, fire covered by the dust is like lust covering our senses. And dust covering our mirror is like lust covering our mind. Lust covering our intelligence is like the embryo covered by the womb. Very, very rigid. So much lust. Why senses, mind and intelligence are given? Now our next verses, we will complete in next 5 minutes. So these are the sitting places of lust. The lust comes like a spy. You don't even know that it has entered your heart. And you think that they are your friends and they start taking care of you so nicely. Wow, so beautiful, Mr. Lust. And you are so caring for me. I love you so much. But you come to know later that actually, this video is only an example. I'm not saying that, don't take it for the face of it. Yeah. So, very, very important to understand who is our friend, who is our enemy. Don't invite unnecessary friends to your life who are problematic. Avratam gnanametena gnanino nityavairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. Thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied, and it burns like a fire. If you there are some people in the garb of spirituality say sambhog se samadhi tak. If you like lust, experiment on lust throughout your life. One person used to live in Pune. He used to just promote lust as a worshipable object. Anyone can mix with anyone and enjoy, because this will lead to liberation. For example, if there is a fire, if you add petrol to it, the fire is going to extinguish more, burn more and more and more and more. If you add more fuel to it, what is the better thing to do? Don't add fire to it. So a lust cannot be, repressed by fanatically encouraging lust. It is not at all possible. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dena. Krishna is saying we need to actually regulate it by devotional service. And there are people also become doomed with such spiritual saints. They are not saints, they are rogues. People get doomed because they don't read Bhagavad Gita. Indriyani mano buddhir asya dishtan uchyate etay vimohayati yesha jnanam avrityate hinam. Asya adhishtanam uchyate. Which are the sitting places for those lusts? For example, coronavirus. They have all told you the entry places is through contacts, through nose, through eyes, through ears. So ensure that you wear a mask, right? You don't come with a physical contact. You keep a distance. So where are this lust residing? If I need to know how to control, which are the places I need to cleanse, you tell me, right? So very, very important. So Krishna is telling the senses, the mind and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. We forget our occupation duty. What is my goal of life? We forget because the lust with which we are covered, and the lust keeps on igniting us. Take care of me, take care of me. And we keep on rubbing our senses, rubbing our mind, rubbing our intelligence to just take care of our lust. And whole life spent uselessly without even understanding what is the purpose of human life. The mind, senses and the intelligence are like three idiots who are just thinking only about the enjoyment. If you try to cater to them, you are gone. That's why it's very, very important. Lust are residing in my senses, mind and intelligence. Let me take care of them. Let me beat them nicely every day. So that how you beat them, don't practically take this one and start beating yourself. That is not the way I am telling. You need to regulate it by performing devotional service. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so powerful. If you chant the names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Powerful mantra which purifies. That Haridas Prabhu got purified. He was a thief. This is 1970 story. Westerners who are actually hippies, drug addicted, they left everything and became devotees. How is it possible? By the miracle of names of Krishna chanting. If it can happen for the Western people who don't know even who is Krishna, what about us Indians? Do not keep on, glorifying this Mr. Lust, keeping him in the throne and feeding him every day. Tasmatvam indriyanadu niyamya bharatarshava papmanam prajahi yenam nana vijnana nashanam. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin by regulating the senses, slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Krishna is telling, curb this lust, this is not good. Yeah, that's why we need to do it, regulate it from the childhood. We need to actually, practice this. What kind of association we need to actually be with? What kind of habits we need to cultivate? Regulation of speech, regulation of hearing, regulation of eating, regulation of seeing, very, very important. Because these are the places from which the lust comes. Now we will connect to that fire. What is that fire and dust? Mirror and the dust and the embryo and the womb. Krishna actually categorized them. One is the lower lust, lust not so critical. It can be manageable. You can actually manage and ensure that you can regulate it. When the lust are sitting in the senses, it is like it is in the gate. Lust, the mirror and the dust is like lust has come to your life of a garden. You entered in your house. Now, lust within the intelligence, residing in intelligence, is like it has taken your room. So one in the compound, another in the backyard, one which has entered into your room. Okay? So our body, indriyani parani ahur, indriyebhya param manah, manasastu para buddha, yo buddhe paratastu sa. Working senses are superior to the dull matter. What is dull matter? Our body. Body is a dull matter. What are the working senses? Taste, touch, hear, see, smell. These are the working senses. Krishna says working senses are superior to the dull matter. All this, whatever the muscles, everything, they are all dull matters. What is superior is our working senses. It is also matter, but it is little bit superior to our jada, which is body. Then Krishna says mind is higher than the senses. Now, above the mind, above the senses sits another controlling person. Who is that controlling person? Mind. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. Now, something controls the mind, which is intelligence. So, if Krishna said there are three strategic places where your lust sits: one in the senses, another in the mind, another in the intelligence. If a lust sits in intelligence, Gaya, this is my most dangerous person. He already has reached a pinnacle of his, becoming Mr. Lusty. But a medium range person who is still lusty, who is still manageable, samal sakte hai isko, is someone whose lust is sitting in the mind. Somehow we can control, we can bring by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Even the intelligence where lust is sitting, that also can be controlled, purified by the holy names of Krishna, but it takes ages. Lust sitting in senses is something, like you can just rub it just leaves. So very, very important that we don't invite our enemy to our heart. Yeah? Evam buddhe param buddhva stamtabhyatmanam atmana jahishat mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, and thus by Krishna, by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. Krishna is telling how to throw Mr. Lust away from our life. Throw him out. How? By performing, by deliberate spiritual intelligence, by performing Krishna consciousness, we'll be able to purify our senses, purify our mind, purify our intelligence. There are 4 processes to do that. I told you, if you really want to purify your life, your existence, and understand the purpose of human life, it is important that you associate with the right people. Association is ABCD. Association is very, very important. Second is, you need to read right kind of books. BhagavadGita will clear all your doubts, and it will give you a perfect path of purpose of life. What is the goal of my life? Diet. You cannot just eat whatever you want. You need to actually understand Ahara Shuddho, Sattva Shuddhihi, Sattva Shuddho, Dhruva Smritihi. If you need to control your mind, you are what you eat. So, sanctified, Yagnarthat Karmanoanyatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhanaha. We need to actually offer whatever we cook for Krishna. And then A, B, C, D. C is chanting. We need to chant the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By following this ABCD, we will become real human beings and develop relationship with Krishna and come out of all problems of our human life, all challenges of our human life, become healthy, holy, and purify our existence. Yeah, Hare Krishna.